Well, hello, finance students. Here we are in the final week of the course, and I'm in a new environment. I'm back on campus for the first time in a year and a half, so a little bit of change of scenery here. But here we are. We're at the end of the course finally, and you've made it through. We've only got a few more days to go. So, in this last update video, I'm going to kind of do what we've been doing all along. Talk a little bit about what we need to do this week and talk about how we're going to be finishing up the final few days of the course and just some important reminders as we get to the very, very end here. All right, well, let's jump into the course, what we're doing this week. This week looks a little bit daunting, as I mentioned in the video last week, but not too bad. Okay, so don't jump off the bridge. It's not too bad. We've got our topic essay this week. We do not have a learning activity, so you're probably really sad about that, but no learning activity. We do have a case study. I'll talk about that in a second, and a final exam. And I think I promised you guys a little preview of the final exam, so we will go over a few questions like we have done before, just so you guys can see what they look like. And if you want, screen capture them, do whatever you want, and have a few already answers already in your back pocket before you even hit the start button on that final. All right, so the topic essay is pretty much generic for this week. The one thing that we did as a reminder is the topic essay that was going to be due. We turned that into extra credit, and that is 50 points. So that's a significant amount. This is a relatively, I say, an easier topic essay for the extra credit. It is the Mercy difference essay that I like to do. For those of you that have had me for previous classes, I usually pull this out once in the course, and it's really tying back those Mercy core values to the practice of healthcare administration, and that's not that hard to do. Actually, the core values in healthcare administration are very closely aligned and linked, and they should be. So it's not that much of a stretch at all for you to link these back into the practice of finance. So, but again, if you want to do this extra credit, it's there for you if you want it. Many of you are not going to need the extra points. So, but it's there if indeed that you do want those extra points. And then our case study this week. Um, Hopefully last week you took a little time to start working on some of this stuff. That was up to you, but you definitely can get everything done this week without killing yourself. So the case study, um, definitely watch the tips on there that I recorded, I don't know, maybe about a year ago. Watch the tips on that. But what you're doing is you're answering these four questions, and you're doing one paragraph, maybe two. A lot of students will throw in a table or maybe some part of an Excel spreadsheet or something on there. Up to you in how you do that. Again, for like the NPV or the internal rate of return, you might be using some of those calculators that we've introduced throughout the class. Screenshots on that might be helpful. Make your job a little bit easier, work smarter rather than harder, that kind of thing. So hopefully you don't find the case study that crazy and daunting. Um, but it's worth a significant amount of points. So you definitely want to do that. If you don't do it, you've already lost the A because it's 100 points. And then we have a final exam, and I'll go over that at the very, very end. All right, so some wrap up things. So first thing is I'll put it out there one more time. Late work, I do accept late work. I've seen some late work come in. Of course, there's a little deduction on points, but as I said before a million times, that's how students lose letter grades if they have missing assignments. If you have a 50 pointer missing, you already have a pretty close margin on losing your A. So make sure you get any of those assignments in. I do take them. There'll be a haircut on points, um, but that can usually preserve your letter grade for you. Another reminder is that this course ends on Sunday. You might see some information out there for maybe some of your other courses, that the course ends on Friday, but we are not ending until Sunday. I explained that whole thing in a previous video, so I won't go down that rabbit hole. But this course ends Sunday at midnight Eastern time. Get everything in by then, and you're golden. Okay, I do have to get your final grade on Monday, so I usually come in Monday morning, grade everything that's in the drop boxes, scour for any late work that might have been submitted, and then have your grades calculated, and those are your final grades. So usually by the end of Monday, Empower updates, and you'll be able to see your final grade for the course. What I won't have time to do on Monday is to track you down. So if something is missing, I don't have time to say, hey, missing case study. I know that's going to drop you a letter grade. I just, because I'm grading all of them, it's a rather large class. There's 45 of you, so there's no like time for me to track students down. With that being said, you can reach out to me if anything should happen, and as some of you have done throughout the course, if anything should happen that may cause you to be delayed, or whatnot, just reach out to me, and usually we can find some kind of solution for you. So the important thing is that we meet these course objectives, that we set out way at the very beginning, that are in your syllabus, about the key elements that we're going to learn in this course. Not making you financial professionals, but giving you a really good understanding of the basics of finance, so you can make sound decisions as business leaders, as healthcare managers, as healthcare administrators. You can take the concepts in this course and make good decisions. So, and that goes with, if you've probably hopefully have seen that every decision, I would argue every decision in healthcare that you're faced with from an administrative perspective is going to have some element of a financial component to it. And usually it's a very large element. But though almost, I can't think of anyone that would not have that element to it. As a healthcare provider, a practitioner, those decisions are necessarily, they're kind of, in many cases, disconnected from the financial pieces of it, and they should be. As an administrator, though, everything you're going to do is those decisions are going to be, I guess, seen through the lens of finance, because you are a steward of resources. And if you have no resources, then you can't deliver the care. So don't let that, we always like to think that the administrators really don't help. The framework doesn't exist for the care unless you have those administrative organizational structures. They just simply do not exist. You go back to the Middle Ages, where care was done primarily by nuns and monks. That's what we would go back to. So, and that was only about 100 plus years ago. Actually, the institution that I work at was started by nuns. At the turn of the century, at least here in Northwest Ohio, and much earlier in other parts of the country or in Europe. So I don't know, but I digress there with that. But just know that it's very important that these concepts that you've learned in this course carry forward. All right, so I don't know. Before I went on with that tangent about the course and really the whole picture of what you guys have been doing here, it's kind of the final wrap up pieces. Again, Sunday at midnight, get everything in. Reach out to me if you do have any final questions. I think that pretty much covers it before we go into the final exam review. But I would like to say you guys have been a fantastic group, probably the strongest group I have ever had in this class. The work has been absolutely top notch. Makes my job a lot easier. Fantastic work. I can't think of a class that I've run where the work has just been so high caliber. So great job on that. And I know summer can be a hard time to focus, but you guys have done a fantastic job with that. All right, let's get into the final exam review. And we'll look at a few questions here so you guys get a good flavor, like we've done before, of what's going on with the final exam. And then, of course, you got the details of the exam. And I believe, yes, we've got 50 questions. So we're going to be covering all of the chapters to which you've read and the videos that you've read or viewed throughout the course. Okay. Now we have a couple of chapters that we have gone over before since the last midterm, which was just last module, but that information will be on here too. So keep that in mind. All right. So you're going to see some concepts that you haven't seen before in previous midterms. All right, let's take a look at the preview here. And we'll keep going. All right, so we'll just do, we have 50 questions. We'll just do the first 10. And some of these are going to look, gosh darn familiar to you. So we're going to have some recycle of previous questions. So you kind of get a mulligan here as well. If you had a question, one of these questions before, and you got it wrong, guess what? Here's your chance to get the question right. All right, so we've got a present value question, straightforward. Again, have your calculators ready, your online calculators, whatever you like to use. Some of you are using the calculators in the videos. Some of you are doing other ones. Totally up to you, whatever you feel more comfortable with. But I'd probably have those ready to go when you hit the start button. Question 2, another future value question. You can knock those out with your quick and easy calculators. Question number 3, we got a perpetual preferred stock. Okay, or a perpetuity question. Whip out that little simple formula. Again, you can screenshot, pause, do whatever you want, because these are live questions on the final. We have if a bank pays the quarterly compounding question. On a savings account, the ending amount after 1 year on 1,000 deposit will be less than if the bank paid annual compounding. Annual versus quarterly compounding, which one would you want? Which one's going to pay you a smidge more? So again, hopefully you can find that answer pretty quickly. And then it's a true or false on there. Question 5, the present value of a future lump sum decreases as either the discount rate or the number of compounding periods increases. So go back to your relationship on interest rates and future value, and how does that work? Number 6, as the discount rate applied to a lump sum of future value increases, the present value does what? Would it stay the same? Probably not. I think we know that one, but I think you can figure out some of these other options in here pretty quickly on what that's supposed to do. Number 7, which of the following statements about financial risk is false? So look for your true ones, and what you got is the false. You guys know the tactics. Here comes a little bit more. We have a few of these more laid out questions in here, but we have the beta coefficient. Again, this should be, I believe this was on our last midterm, so you can go back to that, which is so you're calculating beta coefficient on the portfolio of these investments. And you remember what beta is, right? Okay. So that's probably the most important thing. That you'd go away with some of these. Are you going to be compounding a beta coefficient someday? Probably never, but you're going to hear the word beta. If you listen, you're going to hear the word beta, especially on these financial instruments that are market linked. And you could even hear it in other terms as well, but you now know what that means. So you can impress your colleagues and hopefully your boss by understanding even the fundamentals of what beta means. which of the following statements about a capital asset pricing model, CAPM, um, which is the father of the security market line, or SML, is correct? Just knowing what those are too, I mean, that's going to be huge. I mean, not everybody's going to know what those are. You guys know what those are. Whether you can whip out the capital asset pricing model and formula, and that's one thing, but just knowing that it's out there, that you know that there's a tool out there that could be used, or that may be used to price something, is I think that's the power of what of knowing that. Number 10, which of the following types of risk cannot be eliminated by holding a diversified portfolio? So there you go. Oh, shoot, I snuck in 11 in here. You can see that on the bottom of the screen. Might as well give it to you, right? All right, so which of the following statements about the beta coefficient is false? You can read those there. Pick the false one, and there you go. All right, guys, there is your quick preview of the final. Again, you guys have done a fantastic job. If anything comes up in the last minute, reach out to me. Had a student this morning. We talked on the phone. Um, reach out, text me. You got my text number. It's a lot of you have been doing that, especially as we come down the final stretch in the last few days. If you need to, rapidly to tell me something, that's the best way to do it, because time will get to the essence as we get closer to that Sunday at midnight cutoff. All right, guys, everybody have a great rest of the week. And again, thank you so much for being in this class. You guys have been a fantastic group, and I hope you enjoy a little bit of your summer, that you got a little break. Enjoy that break. We have 1 week off before we get back at it for fall semester. So take some time and recharge your batteries, and enjoy what we have left of the summer. All right, everybody, have a great week. Thanks.